Well, we have officially made it the 31st of December 2018, the final day of this year. 2018 has been an incredibly popular year for Doctor Who. Of course, we've welcomed in a brand new Doctor with Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, the first ever female incarnation, but it has also been an incredibly exciting year for Big Finish, with many popular audio dramas being released from the singular and box set format. And as per usual, for the final video of this year, I am of course going to be reflecting over the past 12 months of Doctor Who Big Finish audio drama releases and selecting my top 10 releases for this year. From the cinematic adventures of the 8th Doctor to the return of the Doctor's daughter, to a box set dedicated to Lady Christina, to the emotional ending to the Doctor Who spin-off Jago and Lightfoot, and not to mention the 20th anniversary of Big Finish's First Lady, Bernice Summerfield. It has of course been an incredibly busy year for Big Finish. In this video I'm going to of course be reflecting over every single release that I have reviewed and selecting my best episodes for this year, which is perfect for of course experienced Doctor Who Big Finish listeners, as well as people who are wanting to get into Big Finish. So as always, sit back, hope you enjoy the video, grab a cup of tea, and let's welcome in the new year with a bang. I think that I will be correct in saying that for the past 2 or 3 years I have in fact ended the year's videos on this channel in exactly the same way, by reflecting over the top 10 Big Finish audio drama releases, and each year shows a new challenge, because each year Big Finish goes to show that they can release really experimental Doctor Who pieces of media. And this year round, I think the countdown that I've in fact created after many thought processes of trying to decide what box set and episodes actually deserve to be in the countdown, I think I realised that there is such a sheer variety of audio drama to enjoy that I think that I've covered pretty much every single base in this list, and I've actually got something for every single part of the fandom. Something to note is, if you are actually a new listener to Big Finish or want to know somewhere to start, I have previously done a video about where to start with Big Finish, but also in 2019 I will be releasing a documentary style sort of piece that is called The Delve into Audio Adventure, which in fact will introduce you to Big Finish and find out a perfect way to actually start your audio adventures, which that will hopefully be coming in early 2019, something like that. But of course, if you are an experienced Big Finish listener, this countdown will no doubt also include some box sets that may have slipped under your radar, because the beauty with Big Finish is there is literally that much to enjoy that everybody will not be able to listen to everything, and for that reason I in fact lead on to the rules for my countdown for this year. As always, I'm following exactly the same format, where every single box set or singular release that I include in this countdown I have in fact already reviewed beforehand on this channel over the past year. In order for it to be a part of the countdown, I both need to have reviewed it and listened to it, but also at the same time it has to be an audio drama that has actually came out as a product this year in 2018. So for example, my review of Live 34 will not count, because it is of course an audio drama that was released in the past 19 years as opposed to 2018 releases. So why not best to start off the countdown with my 10th best release from Big Finish of 2018. And coming in at 10th place this year, we in fact have the Doctor Who Big Finish vinyl series. Over 2018, we have in fact seen 4 Big Finish audio dramas make the conversion over to vinyl in both HMV and Sainsbury's exclusives, and it has in fact been Energy of the Daleks, Infamy of the Zaros, as well as the Zygon Hunt and Cold Vengeance, 2 classic stories and 2 new series stories. And yes, this is technically 4 releases, however, it's my rules. Okay, I can do this in my own countdown, but I think that I'm going to class all of these products as one piece, because I am not actually putting these in the top 10 because of the stories themselves, which is rather unusual. Instead, I'm in fact putting these products in the top 10 simply because I absolutely adore Doctor Who vinyls and I love the product itself. I think that the cover art is generally lovely, and I've really enjoyed the experience of actually tracking down these vinyls this year, as I've been lucky enough to in fact fact track down all 4 of them. I love the fact that all the different colours are actually relevant to the story. For example, this one is green, much like the Ice Warriors, and this one is orange, much like the Zygons and the cover itself. And then of course there is the other 2 in this line as well, being Infamy of the Zaros, a yellow vinyl, as well as Energy of the Daleks, a blue vinyl, one of the first ones to be released this year. So as I'm saying, I'm not actually including these in the countdown because of the actual stories, because these have in fact been released over the past 19 years. But the product itself, I really like it, and I highly recommend tracking them down if you are actually lucky enough to find them. I think that HMV may still have stock of the Cold Vengeance vinyl left on the online store, so it's certainly worth checking out. But yeah, these are lovely, and I really like them, and I highly recommend tracking them down. And yes, there's 4 of them, but hey, it's my rules, okay? I can change the rules on my own countdown, but still, they're one product. Don't argue. As I mentioned at the very start of this countdown, of course 2018 did in fact see the anniversary of Big Finish's longest running Doctor Who spin-off, which is of course Bernice Summerfield. And for that reason we did in fact see a plethora of Bernice Summerfield releases come out, and the one that I've in fact put into this countdown is Bernice Summerfield The New Adventures, The Story So Far Volume 2. Now I have of course already reviewed this one as well as Volume 1, and I do think that Volume 1 is equally just as good. Of course we got to see older Bernice meet younger Bernice. We also got an episode with Jason Kane and Irvin Braxatel. However, the story so far, Volume 2, for me, kind of was a little bit better than Volume 1, simply because we've seen Bernice meet 2 different incarnations of the Doctor that weren't the natural incarnations of the Doctor that you come to expect in Doctor Who media. To start off with, we have the unbound version of the 3rd Doctor, of course played by the wonderful David Warner. For those of you that have seen my previous countdowns, you'll of course know that I absolutely adore David Warner as the Doctor, and I adore the Unbound universe. He is a brilliant incarnation and a great character with a brilliant relationship with Bernice, and for that reason I really loved that story, because it was different and unique, as I say, and actually challenged their relationship, because Benny in fact lost her memory throughout the story itself. However, episode 1 of this box set, that is in fact called Every Dark Thought by Eddie Robson, included Bernice meeting Michael Jason's Valeyard, of course from the Trial of a Time Lord, featuring the 6th Doctor, and Michael Jason is phenomenal. He is a great character. I love the concept of the Valeyard. I love that the Doctor has this darker side. The incarnation of the Doctor that we've not necessarily seen the TV show actually go into too much since Trial of a Time Lord. So for that reason, this box set is just a little bit more experimental and a little bit more interesting. Of course, you do also get the Dravin story in this release, called Empress of the Dravins, as written by David Llewellyn, which is a really fun sci-fi story, of course featuring the return of the Dravins from Galaxy 4, and I think that if anything, I do recommend the story so far, both Volume 1 and Volume 2, because of the way that it is an anthology introduction to Bernice Summerfield. And if you are a Big Finish fan, is yet to get into Bernice Summerfield and wants to, then this is a perfect way to start, because you can almost dip into the different eras of her character. However, as I say, this box set in particular for me stands out quite a lot, simply because of those different experimental incarnations of the Doctor, and David Warner is simply one of my favourite Doctors of all time. I love him, and Lisa Bowerman is incredible as Bernice as well. Certainly think that these are a great celebratory for the 20th anniversary of Benny. Surprise, Summerfield. Coming in at the 8th place this year, we in fact have one of the Unit the New Series installments, one of the 2 releases from this year, and it is in fact the first release, Cyber Reality, featuring Gemma Redgrave, Ingrid Oliver and Derek Jacobi as the War Master, along with Nicholas Briggs as the latest models of the Cybermen. And this is in fact a rather interesting release, because it is following the 4 blockbuster format. It is pretty much a big 4-hour story, and the reason why this one is at number 8 place is because Derek Jacobi in it. No, because this episode in fact does something with new series Doctor Who that I've not seen them do with the Cybermen for quite a long time. Of course, when we originally got the Nightmare and Silver Cybermen, it was very obvious that they wanted to physically upgrade the Cybermen to make them more parallel to the technology that we have today. They are a lot more modern, they can upgrade and update wherever they want, and this box set is a perfect example of that. We see the Cybermen coming through from another universe, and pretty much having a full-scale invasion, and it is a really good invasion piece. The unit family is on top form. I can actually see a little bit of a relationship forming with them, and it is great to also see them actually make an alliance with Derek Jacobi as the Master, especially considering that Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart has had a previously existing relationship, considering that she's the daughter of the Brigadier who has had previous run-ins with the Master. So this is a really good box set simply because of its use of technology and its contemporary style, and I think that if you are a new series fan, you may in fact enjoy this one, even though it is 4 hours. I can remember way back when this was released in early 2018, I actually cracked through this whole box set within one night. It was really captivating and really easy to follow, so I do recommend this one. And yeah, I think that if I was to actually give an episode as a #1 for this piece, it would have to be Master of Worlds, because that is the main episode featuring Jacobi as the Master, and he's just manipulative and stunning as per usual. And also the production value of this box set is very good. So for new series fans, it is a thumbs up, and also for fans that want to get into Big Finish, the new series, who haven't as of yet. Coming in at 7th place this year, we in fact have a Doctor Who Big Finish main range story written by Chris Chapman that is in fact entitled Iron Bright, featuring the 6th Doctor as played by Colin Baker. Now this episode for me is basically everything that I love about Doctor Who, the 6th Doctor, and that's basically it. No, I'm joking, obviously. This episode is a great narrative simply because it incorporates what Doctor Who is best known for, science fiction, and that brilliant element of intertwining a historical location. In this story, we see a 6th Doctor who is travelling alone meet up with the historical figure, which is Isambard Kingdom Brunel and his family, and we in fact have the event of the opening and construction of the Thames Tunnel, which is a well-known historical moment in London's history. It is a great choice in location. I really love the idea of the narrative, and just when you think it is going to be another one of those episodes where the Doctor goes into a historical location and saves the day, you realise that this episode in fact has a science fiction element in there as well, and we have a haunting of the Thames Tunnel that turns out to be a futuristic alien business actually incorporating alien tourism and travelling aliens to Earth in the past in order to experience history for themselves, almost like holograms or something like that. And it is a great idea. As I say, it's a great sort of mix between historical and sci-fi. I love the relationship that the 6th Doctor has with Isambard Kingdom Brunel, and it is just generally a really fun listen. And I think for the Doctor Who Big Finish main range, it's just an entertaining piece. Sometimes the main range can drag, but this episode is one of those ones that's just really nice and flowing and good for the experienced Doctor Who Big Finish listener. It might be a little bit too complex in parts for a new listener, however it is still worth a go, and of course with it having Colin in, you just know it's going to be incredibly high quality, because as per usual, Colin is on fire this episode. He's travelling alone, meaning that the stage is pretty much his, and he's just so powerful as a Doctor and lovable and brilliant. In 6th place this year, we in fact have some of the adventures of the 8th Doctor in Ravenous 2. Now this box set is really intriguing simply because I've been waiting for a very long time to have a moment with the 8th Doctor where he really clicks with me, because I'm somebody who hasn't gone back as of yet to listen to the Charlie Pollard adventures or the Lucy Miller releases. Therefore, I've not really had many standout moments with 8. However, Ravenous has seen me find a new love for his Doctor, because it is very different compared to that of Doom Coalition and Dark Eyes. There is a lot more based around technobabble, and Doom Coalition especially is very plot driven, very plot heavy, has a lot of involvement within the plot arc and the whole consequence of the series itself, which for those of you that have listened to Doom Coalition, you will know exactly what I mean. And it is nice to see that Big Finish have realised this, that the Doom Coalition series was incredibly heavy, and instead with Ravenous they've decided to take a smoother, calmer approach. And with these box sets we in fact have some adventures that bear absolutely no relevance to the actual plot arc itself. We just have standalone stories, and this box set in fact sees Livchenka return back to her home planet of Kaldor, so we have the return of the Vok robots in a rather interesting and different story that also is kind of a new take on the robots of death. However, the main reason why this box set is in fact in 6th place is because of the beauty beauty of the two-part adventure that is in fact in the middle, called Better Watch Out and Fairy Tale of Salisbury, as written by John Dorney. And this episode, or these two episodes, are in fact a two-part Christmas special set in Strasbourg in the early half of December, and it is all based around the Krampus, which, for those of you that don't know, the Krampus is basically an evil orientation of Santa that likes to steal and punish people who are bad. And this box set in fact sees the Krampus took to almost a satanic level, where you see almost a doomsday kind of moment actually appear in Salisbury, and you think that absolutely everybody is going to die. And something that I noticed with Doom Coalition is Helen Sinclair didn't have too many standout moments with her character. She was yet to make an impression on me that was big. However, this box set kind of changed that, because we've seen her have a very big involvement within the story, as well as the 8th Doctor having some lovely warm moments in there as well. I feel like this one for me might have finally solidified that TARDIS team. So for that reason, I am in fact going to give the best episode of this box set especially to Fairy Tale of Salisbury, as written by John Dorney. But as other mentioned, the whole box set itself has a lovely production value, and the cast is on top form as per usual. Before we go into number 5, I'm in fact going to put on my brand new 4th Doctor scarf, because I have paid the heating in my own house. It's just Doctor Who related, isn't it? And I got it for Christmas, and it's lovely and warm and really high quality. It's from Lavazzi, so yeah, I thought I would wear it because it's nice and looks cool. And this is where things start getting incredibly serious, as we have now hit the top 5 places of 2018. And I think that this is the moment where you start to see the really impressive audio adventures. And each one that is in the countdown from this point onwards has something about it which is individual and different, and really stood out to me upon listening to it. And in fact, on the first listen, it instantly grabbed my attention, and I instantly loved it. It's the beauty with Big Finish, is you simply know when you are listening to a really high quality episode. And for that reason, at number 5, we in fact have the first volume of Gallifrey Time War. Now, as I previously mentioned with Ravenous 2, we had a really blockbuster style cinematic box set with that release. However, Gallifrey Time War takes the Time War to another level, and you may be thinking, hang on, we've already had the War Master, the 8th Doctor Time War series, the War Doctor Time War series, and countless other mentions to the Time War in the past. Do we really need another Big Finish series that is dedicated to the Time War? However, this box set is different, simply because it has a complete absence of the Doctor, and it is mainly focused around Gallifreyan politics and the movements between Gallifrey and the different parliamentary figures. Most notably, you have of course Romana, who is an excellent character. It's great to see her form from that Gallifreyan from the Academy to the Lord President of Gallifrey. You also have Irving Braxiatel in there as well, as played by Miles Richardson, who I absolutely adored on the first listen. He is just such a cunning and evil and devious character, but also at the same time he is questionably related to the Doctor, which I find amazing. He could possibly be the Doctor's brother, and I kind of like that we don't know for sure. And we also have in this episode the resurrection, essentially, of Derek Jacobi as the War Master. So once again, the second time in this countdown, we have another inclusion of Derek Jacobi, and once again this story is a pivotal moment in his timeline. It is essentially his first story, and he is on top form. As I say, he is evil, he is devious, he's somebody who is unpredictable, and especially when he is in situations with companions that you love and trust, that you've seen with the 4th Doctor and 6th Doctor, this series feels like it has a danger to it. And not just that, it actually collides new series Doctor Who and classic series Doctor Who. You have the 2005 Daleks and the Dalek Emperor coming face to face with Romana, and for some reason this series made me feel a little bit like a fangirl, getting completely excited, simply because to me this has been the most Time War series that we have kind of seen so far that has actually featured the Daleks. It's sort of done what the 8th Doctor Time War series and the War Doctor series failed to do. So again, I really do recommend this for both experienced Big Finish Finish listeners, but also at the same time the new listeners who want to experience something from the Time War. And I think simply, considering that this box set is only 4 hours long, it gets so much done. It resurrects the Master, it has many confrontation scenes with the Daleks, it has Gallifreyan political corruption, and it also has the departures of arguably two of the Doctor Who classic companions that made the biggest impression of the Doctor, being the departure of Ace being sent back to Earth, as well as Leela in there as well to lead on to the War Doctor adventures. I got that excited about the Gallifrey Time War box set that I've literally just had a coughing fit, so you know, that's how good it is. I nearly died by talking about it. In fourth place for the Best Big Finish release of 2018, we in fact have another Doctor Who Big Finish main range story, featuring the 6th Doctor, as played by Colin Baker, and written by A.K. Benedict, and it is in fact entitled The Hunting Ground, and is the previous review to go up on this channel. It is in fact the last review of 2018 for Big Finish, and this episode made such a big impression with me, simply because it is A.K. Benedict's first ever contribution to the Big Finish main range in an actual 2-hour extended story. Previously she has done other adventures in the 1-hour format, however this is the first episode where she has free rein to do whatever she wants. This is of course also the second 6th Doctor main range episode in this countdown, because you all know by now I just simply absolutely adore Colin. There's nothing else to be said, and this episode in fact showed me why I adore Colin, simply because A.K. Benedict has written his Doctor to be incredibly lovable and quirky and nerdy and brilliant, because you feel like he is serious and you don't want to get on the wrong side of him, but also at the same time you adore him because he is warm and friendly, and every single person that he meets he has a massive impression on. And within this story you in fact see him meeting a character called Yrsa, in fact an Icelandic police officer, and throughout this episode you in fact see the 6th Doctor and Yrsa trying to solve a murder mystery in Iceland as people are dying in mysterious circumstances. A.K. Benedict is in fact a crime novelist, therefore it makes perfect sense for her to do a crime-based Doctor Who story as her first main contribution to the 2-hour Big Finish main range releases. She is playing to her strengths, and it certainly shows throughout this episode, because it is incredibly strong, really enjoyable, and by far one of the highlights for me is seeing the 6th Doctor communicating to these rather alien wolves by using a communicator that in fact he speaks into, and then it comes out the other side as barking like a dog, so the little wolves can in fact listen to him, and then they turn from these vicious creatures into basically these little puppy dogs, and you have them stroking them with their bellies and everything. It's all cute and adorable, much like the 6th Doctor himself. I just think that this story is a really entertaining listen, and if anything for this year, this is the episode that I recommend most to the new listeners, because it is such a nice and funny listen, and is certainly the episode that had the biggest reaction for me from laughs from a main range episode this year. So I really recommend it, really fun, and A.K. Benedict has got the 6th Doctor absolutely spot on. Once again, he is on fire, this story. It is possibly some of the best work that I've seen from Colin in a very long time, which all of you know how much I adore Colin, so that coming from me is in fact quite a compliment. In third place for this year, we in fact have another 8th Doctor adventure box set release. This is in fact a rarity for my Big Finish annual countdowns, because I do believe that I normally only include one 8th Doctor box set in my countdown. Of course, previously I have already included Ravenous 2 in this countdown. Well, this is Ravenous 1, of course the box set before Ravenous 2, because that's how numbers work. This one is of course the opening box set to this brand new quadrilogy, and I think that this is the perfect way to start off a new chapter in the 8th Doctor's era. As I was saying earlier with Ravenous 2, it does of course have similar compliments to that box set, simply because it takes a step back from Doom Coalition. It realises that it was in fact quite a heavy script, with lots of Gallifreyan corruption once again, with different things such as the 11 and whatever the name of the woman was, the Sonomancer, and of course other Padrak as well. We had loads of Gallifreyan stuff. For those of you that have listened to Doom Coalition, you will will know what I mean. But this box set instantly takes it back, and we have an adventure based within World War II featuring the return of Ian McNeice as Winston Churchill, which is lovely and different and has absolutely no relevance to the actual arc itself. However, the reason why this box set is in fact at number 3 is because of Paul McGann's acting. For one, he is stunning, really enjoyable, and I love his Doctor. Once again, I recommend this for people that want justice with Paul McGann, but also a wonderful 2-part story that in fact ends this box set, called World of Damnation by Matt Fitton and Sweet Salvation, also written by Matt Fitton, and in fact sees the 11, as played by Mark Bonnard, team up with the 7th Doctor villain, the Candyman, who is a evil chemist who basically can make sweets and confectionery that can change the minds and thought processes of different people. And the story itself is based on a Earth colony prison planet, and you see how the Candyman sweets in fact infect the inmates, and similar compliments do apply for Ravenous 2 as well as this one. It feels really cinematic. I love how the Candyman is in fact displayed in this story, and the person who in fact actually plays the Candyman is superb. I can't remember who it is, and he's not on the credits at the back. I should have noted that. I may put his name on screen now, but he was really good. I really enjoyed him, and Mark Bonnard was once again flawless. He's really good, so I really do recommend this for people who necessarily don't want to get into Doom Coalition, because I think I would go as far to say that even though this continues the 11 story, you only kind of need to know what is mentioned in this box set to get the full gist of what actually happened. You don't need to go back and actually experience it, which is good. It's nice to have another jumping on point, and this is once again another cinematic 4-hour episode, and I think that the standout, as I say, for me will be World of Damnation, simply because of the eerie soundtrack of the Candyman and the acting of the Candyman himself. It's just sheer callous brilliance. Second place for the Best Big Finish release of 2018, it will be no surprise to in fact say that this box set features Derek Jacobi as the War Master for the 3rd time in the 2018 countdown. This is in fact the War Master Volume 2 in his own series called the Master of Calais, and once again, much like the Hunting Ground, this is in fact another rather recent review, and this box set in fact made a massive impression on me. I was really looking forward to it after the previous box set being the War Master Only the Good. Previously that box set in fact got the 3rd place in last year's ranking. I think looking back on reflection I may even up it to number 2 if I was to change my mind, but this box set is in fact a completely different format to Volume 1, because that box set had a singular 4 stories with a plot arc intertwined throughout, much like new series Doctor Who. Much like Unit the New Series, this is in fact one big 4-hour story, which is a lot more padded out compared to that previous box set. We have the return of the Ood as played by Silas Carlson, who is stunning and really funny and quirky, and I think that the lines that he delivers are so chilling yet innocent and funny at the same time. And Derek Jacobi as the War Master is just everything, and every reason why I love him in this box set is shown, because he is so cold you don't really trust him, but you love him at the same time because he is this elderly grandfatherly figure. And in this box set you in fact get to meet people from the colony world of Calais. You really get to know their characters and their different relationships and their different problems that they are facing throughout life. And one of the main mentions I want to give for this box set is Persistence of Dreams by Guy Adams, simply because it is basically Doctor Who on acid. That is the only way that I can explain it. It completely screws your mind up. It's 47 minutes of insanity. You have the Master in a food machine being a cannibal, you have an Ood being cooked alive, then you have the exact same Ood spooning another character that you've seen throughout the entire story. It's just mental. The actual box set is flawless, however the main sort of mention, as I say, is Persistence of Dreams, simply because it is so dark and chilling, and Call for the Dead as well. Even though I said I was only going to mention one episode from each box set as the main one, Call for the Dead is dark too. It's just a whole, because it is one story technically, it is quite hard to actually sort of say one episode that stood out the most, but it is such a great tale, which once again, if you want justice for the Derek Jacobi Master, then this is a box set for you, along with the other one. So far, the War Master series has been up there with some of the strongest Doctor Who stories that I've listened to in a very long time, and I think it has no signs of weakening as well, so I'm really excited to see the War Master in 2019 facing Paul McGann in Volume 3. In fact, recently, over the Christmas period, I rewatched Utopia because I recently got the Series 3 Steelbook. And of course, Derek Jacobi was criminally underused in the new series itself, in the TV show. And it was such a mistake to get rid of him almost immediately and regenerate him into John Sim. However, it is lovely to see some of the references within that episode have actually been taken by Big Finish. And now you can actually see and have the context for that dark, evil character that lurks under Professor Yana's persona, and I think that is just a brilliant sort of effect that this series has actually had, and actually makes me enjoy Utopia a little bit more. So I suppose that's good, because previously I didn't enjoy it as much simply because of that missed opportunity. And of course, after 12 months, many Doctor Who Big Finish audio drama releases, it all comes down to this, the #1 Doctor Who Big Finish audio drama release of 2018. And for those of you that watch my Big Finish reviews on a regular basis, you will have probably worked out what release is in fact missing from this countdown and should be in the countdown. And that is in fact because it is at #1 spot. And for the first time in this countdown, I knew exactly what was going to be in the first place before I even decided the rest of the places in this countdown, because for me there was only one release this year that actually properly deserved to be the best one. Not because of the actual narrative itself, but because of the message behind it and the actual message it delivered to the fans. And it is, of course, Jago and Lightfoot Forever, the series finale to the wonderful Doctor Who Big Finish spin-off, Jago and Lightfoot. Of course, I absolutely adore Jago and Lightfoot as a series, and in 2017, when we heard about the loss of Trevor Baxter, it hit me quite a lot. I was really emotional about it, and I was so sad to see him go, because I always wanted to meet him, and both Trevor and Christopher Benjamin, in fact, gave me a lot of joyful moments whilst listening to this series, and they still do to this day. Every time I go back and listen to Jago and Lightfoot, it never fails to put a smile on my face. And I found out from David Warner when I met him before this was actually announced that they were going to be doing one final episode for Jago and Lightfoot, and of course it is Jago and Lightfoot Forever, a 1-hour singular story featuring Jago on New Year's Eve, funny enough, in fact trying to find his best friend because he has gone missing, and we see the aftermath of some of the previous adventures along with a few cameos of previous characters, including the 6th Doctor as played by Colin Baker, also under his alias as Professor Dark, as well as the return of Leela as played by Louise Jameson, David Warner as Betterman and Saunders from some of the previous series, as well as of course Christopher playing the amazing Jago, Ellie Higson played by Lisa Bowerman, and Conrad Asquith as Inspector Quick, and of course Trevor, recreated and restored by using lines from pre-existing series that we have already seen. And I'm really glad of the way that they actually put it together. It is a brilliant story. All of the lines are delivered in a way that isn't really very jarring, which I am quite shocked by. They have literally managed to bring Trevor back from the dead in this episode, and it is so lovely to have something that encapsulates the very end of Jago and Lightfoot and give one final story for him, where they meet the Queen at the very end as well. And I've never had a Big Finish story that hit me emotionally in the way that this one did. Within the space of 1 hour, it made me smile, it made me laugh out loud, and it made me cry. It actually made me cry, the ending, because they actually did a composition brilliantly by Jamie Robertson of the theme, the final closing curtains of Jago and Lightfoot, and it is such a wonderful composition. And yeah, there is literally no argument for me of what could have been at the top spot, because it's just phenomenal. A brilliant piece, a great dedication to Trevor Baxter, and a brilliant starting point for Jago and Lightfoot as well. Of course, I have started a Jago and Lightfoot review series recently on this channel, where I've gone back to the very beginning and reviewed Hong Sa Weng Chiang, The Mahogany Murders, and I'm going on to series 1, 2 and 3 in 2019. Therefore, if you haven't got into Jago and Lightfoot already, I certainly recommend it. I'm incredibly passionate about it, so if you have similar opinions to me, then just go and buy these, because they're incredible. They are so good, and I adore them so much. And I think, honestly, Trevor and Chris are some of the best parts of the Doctor Who universe, and I'm so glad Big Finish actually gave them the time to shine. And that is that. That concludes my top 10 countdown for the best Big Finish audio dramas of 2018, and therefore concludes all of my videos for this year. It has been an absolute blast listening to all of the Big Finish that I have had the pleasure of listening to this year, and it has been lovely having you guys join me on the journey as well. So if you are a fan of Big Finish and have listened to some other releases, what have been your favourite releases for this year? Has there been some that I haven't mentioned in this countdown? Why not leave a comment in the description below to leave your top 10 episodes for this year. And also, what episodes are you looking forward to in 2019? Of course, it is the anniversary of Big Finish, as it does turn 20 years old, so there is a lot of adventures to look forward to, including the Legacy of Time collection. We have Derek Jacobi once again returning as the War Master in the River Song series, as well as facing Paul McGann. We also have the return of Lucy Miller, What's Not to Like, as well as a big massive reunion with the 8th Doctor in Ravenous 3, and we also get the return of Billie Piper as Rose alongside David Tennant and Catherine Tate as the 10th Doctor, and Donna in there as well. So there is so much to look forward to in 2019, and I just hope that all of you guys join me on that journey too. So yeah, thank you very much. Hope you've had a lovely Christmas and break, and more importantly, as it is of course New Year's Eve, I really do hope you have a brilliant 2019. I wish you all the best, and I hope you have a healthy and happy year, and I just hope that I can share the same enthusiasm and Doctor Who content that I have done for the entirety of 2018 and the previous years before. So yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.